Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Everyone's got the after lunch slump, but we're going to try to keep you awake here. I'm ready to introduce our next panel. So we have what we call the duck pond. So it's kind of like a Shark Tank for nonprofits. It should be really, really fun. Our moderator is going to be Tom Calling. He's the Deputy Director of Nonprofit Village. And if you're not familiar with Nonprofit Village, they are located in Montgomery County, but they serve the entire region, nonprofits all over the region. And some, I believe, that are national. It's an incubation space, and they do really wonderful work, so we're really happy to have them here. So I'll introduce Tom Calling, and I'll have him bring his panel in, and we'll get started. Thank you. Tom, come on down.
Thank you, Diana. Good afternoon, everyone. As Diana said, I'm Tom Calling, Deputy Director at Nonprofit Village. A few years ago, we noticed that there were a number of pitch competitions for businesses, for startup businesses, and we wondered why there wasn't one for nonprofits. So we decided to make one. It's called the Duck Pond. So as Diana said, a little bit more collaboration. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our panelists. First, Dirk Butler, United Way National Capital Area. There we go. And Heather Iliff, who is President and CEO of Maryland Nonprofits. We also have, rounding out the panel, our very own Kim Jones, Executive Director of Nonprofit Village. If you guys would like to get situated. Our first presenter today is Cara Santucci. Cara founded an organization in 2018 called GLUE, and GLUE seeks to connect businesses, individuals, and nonprofits to unify the community, allow nonprofits to achieve their mission. But Cara will be able to explain that much more eloquently than I can. So I'm going to hand things over to Cara quickly and let her make her pitch. And actually, before I do, while Cara gets situated, if you guys could be thinking, while we're listening to these people present their new concepts, how can your knowledge, your experience, your connections, how can you leverage those to help? Because we'll turn it over to you guys as well for questions and input. So once you do think of a good idea or a way you could be of assistance to the new startup organizations you'll be hearing from, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and ask, because we'll go to you guys after we hear from the panel. So thank you. Keep that in mind. Okay, Cara, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Good. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Tom. I want to first off by saying that I'm a connector, and with my years of experience, I found that there are disconnects in the nonprofit and business industry. The feedback I constantly get is that nonprofits need a better way to access funding through sponsorships, fundraisers, or even having volunteer opportunities being filled. And businesses need a better way to access socially responsible avenues to the nonprofits to access work that will impact the community. So where these two needs meet is GLUE, and that stands for Giving Locals Unity Everywhere. And we're providing an online platform for nonprofit organizations and businesses to easily connect with each other at their fingertips. So with that being said, my background is that I've been an outreach director where I communicate with nonprofits on a monthly basis in trying to connect with them and hear their needs and hear what they've been going through and their challenges. I've also had experience in the business industry, such as Marriott and other businesses, where I've seen firsthand this disconnect between the two industries. So let's see why businesses and nonprofits should want to be involved. A recent Nelson Global online survey actually found that 66% of respondents said that they're willing to pay more for products if that services come from companies that have a positive social impact. So, and just this September of this year, there was many of the nation's most powerful business people released a statement that companies actually aren't focusing just on shareholders and profits anymore. They really are focusing on supporting communities in which we work and delivering value to our customers. Amazon Jeff Bezos, Apple's Tim Cook, and over 200 of the other CEOs signed that. It also benefits your business and community. And so you reach a whole new audience It can boost your company morale, and it has a good image for your overall company. It also raises awareness for your community, and it closes the gap between big business and people, and it gives us nonprofits, all the nonprofits in the room, really an opportunity they may not have otherwise. And then as well as for nonprofits, in a survey of over 500 nonprofits, and you all probably know this firsthand, but that the top challenges for nonprofits in 2019 are 46% of them are securing sponsors, and 45% of them are having an insufficient budget. And nonprofits benefit from collaborating with one another. You guys do better together. So really having a higher organizational efficiency and effectiveness. I was actually just speaking with a gentleman right before this, and he was talking about how missions, when you have the same mission, you're able to do so much more together, and it's just so true. And knowing more about each other will help you guys really advance that mission. So for our target market, we're really looking for Maryland to start off with. There's over 23,000 nonprofits in Maryland and over 560,000 small businesses in Maryland. We definitely plan to expand for Glue. It's just kind of where we're having our first starting point. These are the things that you'll be able to get with membership with Glue. You'll be able to apply and post volunteer opportunities, connect with fellow nonprofits and businesses, seek support from local businesses to meet the needs of your mission, and respond to the needs of nonprofit organizations on our sponsor page. So we have a sponsor page, which is amazing because you can be able to post whenever you have an event, internal or external. Oh, and then we have the benefits, so we can go straight into those. So for businesses, we have multiple benefits, which is increasing sales, products and services, employee engagement, company morale, shareholder return, attracting new business partners and relationships, providing a motivating purpose for your company, generating recognition, creating good in society, and obviously receiving a tax contribution donation. For business nonprofits, you'll be able to increase funding for brand recognition, expand your donor base, connect with other nonprofits and businesses, which is so incredibly important, attract in-kind donations, new volunteers, services, and provide professional development for employees. So below, if you go back, below you would be able to see kind of the current logos of people that are currently already interested in Glue. This is a combination of companies, nonprofits, and businesses. So for our competitors, we have a lot of nonprofits. There are nonprofits out there that do want to do connecting, and we don't want to work against them. We want to work and help support them. So for nonprofits out there or Chamber of Commerce that really kind of help bridge that gap and want to help bridge that gap, but that's not their main focus, we want to work with you. We want to still provide that support for you, and you guys get the benefit as well. So we do have two direct competitors, I would say, CPP Connect, which is a great business, but I would say that we offer a more user-friendly experience, as well as Nonprofit Connect. They're more based in Kansas, and so they do a great job at trying to connect each other, but with our sponsor page, we definitely feel like we add a competitive advantage because we're able to really give you that simplified experience for people to kind of swoop through and look through, which is where our technology is heading anyways. So, enough talk. I'm going to show you a brief, short little clip about how our site's coming along so you can kind of see firsthand what it looks like. There are a lot of edits that still need to be made, so bear with me on that. But I do want to give you guys a quick shot of what it looks like. So we're going to change the screen, and then you can go ahead and start the video. Once there, perfect, there we go. Okay, so this is what our homepage will look like. It'll show about us and, all that. If you clicked on partner, that's how it will look like if you did a partner search. You could see there, once you click on something, you'll be able to see exactly what you're looking at. Membership login, everything's very clean. The design is super easy for everyone to kind of move through it easily. You can see that we have individual, business, and nonprofit. Individuals are just freelancers or self-employed. This is how it would look like if you were to join. You can go through each of the steps. and put in your information and payment. Ignore the prices and whatnot for now. But this is what it looked like if it was a sponsor post. You can put in the budget range of your event or what you're doing. You can put in details about how everything's going to work, and your location, how many people will be attending, and what's in it for the businesses when they partner with you. They definitely want to know that, so there's a spot that you can do that as well. So that's just a quick little preview of what the site will look like for you. So what is it going to look like when pricing? We do have 3 different tiers. So we have business membership, which is only $37 a month, and then individuals at $29 a month, and starting with nonprofits at $250 a month. We have it based off of a tier. There's more into it. A lot of thought went into these prices and research, but we do know that over 65% of nonprofits have less than $25,000 that they're working with. So we wanted to make sure it was very affordable. And we also have a founder's price. So anyone who truly believes in this and really wants to see this happen and wants to be the first ones to get in there, the first 50 of individuals and businesses and nonprofits get that founder's price, which is $225 for businesses for the year, $175 for individuals, and only $125 for nonprofits. This is what our go-to-market plan is. This is everything that we are planning off doing to start off with. We have a low budget to start off with, but really utilizing local advertising and social media and door-to-door and whatnot to kind of get our name out there and really make those connections. So who's our team? If you see, it's me. I have a marketing director, Ronald, and design and development, all thanks to Sylvester. That's not where my skills at with all the nice design, but that's him. And I also have plenty of amazing mentors that have spoken into me over the past few years. Kelly Leonard, Dave Feldman, J.C. Worley, Jeff Hunt, many more that have really helped me with giving me guidance with this. So I will close this with Let's Glue. If you are interested in wanting to be a part of this, you can contact me on the website. There's a form that you can do that for our landing page or my email. Both of my emails, my personal and business email as well. So thank you guys so much for having me, and I'm so excited to maybe be working with some of you.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you. So I'll turn it over to our panel now. If anyone would like to open things up. Heather, go for it.
Thank you so much. You have a lot of energy, and I love the name. I think Glue sounds really great and original. And one of my thoughts, so is it more questions or advice or both?
I'll
Yes,
take
both.
anything.
Okay. So one of the things that is really important in the startup of any organization is who's going to be on your board.
Yeah.
And so it looks like you're really focused on the implementation and the website as the main event for you.
Yeah.
But in starting a nonprofit, you're starting an organization.
Yeah.
And so you want to think about involving, I would say, especially the business community in your board. So with nonprofits, I was also thinking, as a Maryland Association of Nonprofits, Maryland Nonprofits for short, nonprofits are also our main customers, and about 80% of our revenue comes from fee for service. So nonprofits pay to come to our conference, they pay for consulting, they pay dues, they pay to be accredited with the Standards for Excellence, and so I know a lot about building relationships and marketing within the nonprofit sector. I know very little about building relationships and marketing in the business sector and what they're looking for, except for the ones that we've developed as sponsors for our event. So I'm trying to make my remarks relevant for other nonprofits in the room as well as for you. And what we hear from a lot of businesses is, they really want to build relationships and they want more face time. But I think the businesses that we're involving are services where the nonprofits are their customers, so it's a little bit different. So it sounds to me more like you're thinking about the retail space, like if I'm going to go to an independent coffee shop, for example, and they would say, would you like to round up for Habitat for Humanity or something like that? Is that the relationship that you're looking for?
Yeah, so, and I want to, having a board is so important, so I really appreciate that. This particular, I'm not a nonprofit, but I'm a social enterprise, per se. But I still appreciate and need that same type of support when it comes to the board. We are focusing on, so when you sign up, you're able to put in the category of which your business or nonprofit falls into. And so for that, I will say that, yes, retail and, restaurants and whatnot are really helpful, in the entertainment companies, because for nonprofits, hosting events is something that's very, very common. But we are open to expanding that. So that's where we're first yes, exactly. We're trying to reach out to those relationships first, but would love to eventually have programmers and design development, logo, just so all the things, lawyers, just so many different ways that nonprofits need support with businesses in any form, photography, just all those different things. So we definitely want to expand that way, but in the initial beginning, I think that what nonprofits are doing the most and using the most we'll be targeting with those businesses first.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and from my perspective as a nonprofit, that platform makes a lot of sense to me, because when I think about the small businesses and the $137 that you might raise through the rounding up program at a bookstore or a restaurant, I'm not going to be able to have the foot time to build a relationship with a small retailer like that for those very small amounts. But it could be a real boost to the retailer and a way to really make that an efficient way to get more small businesses engaged in nonprofits, because we do see a gap there. So that's interesting.
Thank you so much.
This is a really innovative idea, and really like the enterprise. Two things. The first thing, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about employee engagement. What we've seen at the United Way is businesses really want to interact with us around employee engagement and retention, right? So helping businesses do that is definitely something that you are doing and want to continue to really focus and drill down on, because they're going to be very excited about that. And so a lot of that speaks to understanding what their employees want, right? Not so much kind of what leadership wants, right? It's kind of what the employees are saying that they want to invest in, want to be involved in, want to see happen, right? And so I think that's something to keep in mind, but I think it's a great place to start. And then from the nonprofit perspective, the collaboration piece is huge, right? So much we're seeing funders, both national, federal, really wanting to see when they invest in a place that there's collaboration going on. Like, they're not just investing in one particular entity, but they're investing in entities that are working together, have a strong governance structure, are able to work, across sectors. And so that collaboration piece for the nonprofits is something that I think will be extremely important as well. So it's good to see that you're embracing that and really building around that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is, again, I'm going to echo what the others have said. It's innovative. It's probably necessary. Those of us in the nonprofit sector are always looking for another way to connect with everybody in the community. That being said, there's a lot of competition. So let's take one jurisdiction here in Maryland that has Charity Connect, and they connect nonprofits with businesses, the corporate volunteer councils around the country that connect businesses, and that's their purpose. Here in the state of Maryland, and actually in the region, even Heather has led the charge to make sure nonprofits are connecting with each other, and through the Charge Up Collaborative, So there's a lot of, we've got 50 Plus Network, we've got Leadership Montgomery doing everything, Leadership Greater Washington. So where do you fit in the niche? And are you bringing those other capacity builders, collaborators along? How do you think about competing? Because now you're going to charge for something that others may not be charging for.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Leadership Montgomery. I'm actually in that program, which is a really great program. Most of the programs that are even done, I mean, even if you were to look at Chamber of Commerce and things, they all do charge. I will say that, and I've spoken with a nonprofit who brought to me some of those same concerns, and one of the things that they said was that they're a nonprofit, and they were like, we do all of these other resources for nonprofits. This is one of the things that we do, but are you trying to do all of these things and connect them? And I'm not. I'm not trying to, that's why I wanted to kind of make it clear. I don't want to take away from what they're doing. I want to just be another person in the space that's building a more simplified way of making those connections. Especially for the businesses. So businesses being able to have just one singular platform where, especially I've spoken with another nonprofit where they were like, some of the different places that I've spoken with for nonprofits, it's, you kind of have to do more than just connect. It's like, because it is, like they have so many more resources than I'm going to be able to offer them. And
it could be facilitating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facilitating the connection.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what we came to an agreement of, is said, Glue can be in their directory for nonprofits to be able to have access to, and they would also be in the directory. So people would have access to them, because I recognize and respect all those organizations that have so many more resources that they could give to these nonprofits. I want to make something very simple and simplified so that people are using it at their fingertips. And so they can be able to connect with those organizations to get greater resources and greater input. I don't see another space. There are other spaces, like I said, that do just simply connecting, but not at the simplified aspect that I am.
Go ahead. Yes,
Still
I'm
going?
formulating.
Okay.
I'm formulating.
Yeah, so
my-
another thing that's occurring to me is I really like how you're bringing, technology to bear, and really thinking about how we can connect better using technology. I will say, don't forget about the human element as well. So, making a sale involves more than someone just seeing an ad and a website that I find a lot of times, they'll need a conversation and things like that. So you may want to include in your plans attending events like this and, exhibiting in places where you're going to have FaceTime at Chamber of Commerce events and meeting businesses where they are as well. I think my sense is it's probably going to be easier to recruit the nonprofits than it will to recruit the businesses, but I loved how you collected that data, and there are a lot more businesses out there who aren't involved, and it would be great to have someone really helping them think about, especially the small businesses. I think the mid-size and larger nonprofits, they have staff who think about their community investment side of the house. But a small mom and pop business is not going to be able to do that. And I think that could be a really great gap that you would fill.
Yeah.
If we, Kimberly, you have your thought ready.
Yeah. So one last thing to follow on from what Heather was saying about the relationship with the businesses. I agree, and I think that giving those small businesses that opportunity that they often don't know about because they are so focused on growing like the nonprofits, and their needs and their lack of resources sometimes. So kind of putting that together does make a lot of sense. And that's what chambers often say as well. People don't engage the small businesses, and these kinds of sponsorship opportunities that are not the 5,000, 10,000 or more range could be very beneficial. I guess I'm also looking at how can you help facilitate that, or how will you get to those businesses to let them know about the benefits, and how will you explain to a nonprofit that this is going to be much more effective than doing a direct mail, getting a list from the chamber and doing a direct mail for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, the
No,
question? Okay.
that definitely does. So with approaching, that's why we definitely want to start off with small businesses. I completely agree with both of you. I mean, having that relationship with the nonprofits would make definitely the most sense. How I plan on approaching the small businesses to get out there is through some of our marketing plan. It's going to be a lot of the groundwork and building those relationships. Just like you said, I think that there's also, with my generation, everyone's just on technology, but that's not all the generations that are owning businesses. So I want to I kind of want to utilize the technology and face-to-face on the different ways that I'm approaching the different businesses that I'm going to and the different nonprofits. And so kind of utilizing both will hit both of the markets that kind of meet just the best way to kind of get into their ear and get in and be able to get FaceTime, or even if it is just simply sending them a message, whatever works better. Having it being so easily accessible online, I think just definitely makes a huge plus with that directory, and opposed to, having, you can get a list of a directory, but it takes time to go through those. And what's great about having already the website up is that everyone who's going to be on the site is already willing to want to connect, because that's why they're on the site. So you kind of already skip the line on Googling and trying to do the research in the back end. They already are willing, which is great. You've kind of, you're already at step 7. And so having those people on the site, they already know going into it, they're going to be connecting and they're willing to connect and they want to.
Let me just open it up to any audience comments or questions. Anyone? Yes, sir.
I can just holler it out. Have
Sure.
you thought about, Kara, you've got someone like Heather Eiliff right there from Maryland Nonprofits. You might want a percentage of the revenue, so you can leverage her network. You can sell this to her membership, get exposure, but you could kill her off, 10%, 20%. And it would help you grow your nonprofit base a whole lot faster than doing it on your own. So you could have partners like her and Center for Nonprofit Advancement. I'm saying that because I actually just met with a vendor in my office this week about a cost savings element to our health insurance plan. We're not paying them a fee, but they'll get a share of the savings. So this would be similar.
When I started this business, I truly, the reason why I even went the LLC route and doing a social enterprise truly is because I'm not in it to be rich at all. And so, at all. If I could live my life on volunteer opportunities, I would. I currently do that right now. So sharing a portion of the revenue is definitely a really, really great, it's a great idea. And I think that I'm definitely open to it. I know that things are, I'm preaching that right now on the stage, it's better together. So I agree with that too for my business. And so I'm definitely open to those things and those opportunities when they come. It's just a matter of kind of writing everything down and talking through everything. But I definitely, in fact, long term anyways, I wanted to give a portion of it back to the whatever's pressing in the community. I'd love to grow this to different states, and then whatever is mostly pressing in that state, whether it's water or whatever it is. I'm really not in this to be rich. So that's not. If I just get enough to live, that's fine. But that's my heart in it. So I'm definitely open to that, and I think that's a really great idea.
Thank you, Rob. And I was trying to be as objective as possible, not have a conflict of interest. I was talking to Tom, and we do have a number of. I think we have probably a dozen or more of what we call group buying partners, where sometimes we get a revenue share, sometimes our members get a discount, and sometimes both. And I think Rob wasn't suggesting that you would be reducing your revenue by doing that, but that it would be a way to market your program to an audience that we already have. So it would actually increase your revenue. So it wouldn't bust
Clearly
into
I'm
your
fine with
future of being not rich.
No, but yes, I think that's brilliant.
And I think other associations probably have similar programs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm conscious that we only have half an hour left, so Cara, thank you. You were awesome. Let's give Cara a big round of applause, everyone.
And great job on your pitch. It's very nicely done.
Next up, we have Cedric Nwafor. His organization, Roots Africa, seeks to connect US-based students and agricultural experts with farming communities in Africa to alleviate poverty, hunger, and exclusion. So please join me in welcoming Cedric to the stage. Actually, Cara, can we have you back because we need your clicker?
My name is Cedric Nwafor. I'm originally from Cameroon. I'm from that little city you see right there called Bamenda. Growing up in Cameroon, we had 6 farms, and each and every day we worked on this farm. However, at the end of the year, there were still points where we could still not guarantee our next meal. I remember thinking back as a child that nobody that works this hard should have to go to bed hungry. To me, that was the biggest injustice that existed in the world. Fast forward a few years later, I traveled to the United States here in the state of Maryland. And I got fortunate and was invited to Idaho to learn about innovative agriculture. While I was on one of these farms, I saw this farmer his tractor tilling the soil and going along for about 5 minutes. And there it dawned on me that the amount of work that tractor was able to do for 5 minutes was equivalent to the amount of work my entire family did for a week. And then I started thinking, what are some of the ways in which we can connect some of these resources, this knowledge, this expertise to farming communities in Africa like mine? I got back to the state of Maryland, enrolled at the University of Maryland, and started figuring out ways in which I can connect these students. I spoke to these UMD alumni in Liberia working at an institution called LICC. And that's how Roots Africa was formed. Roots Africa's mission is to connect academic institutions and experts here in the US to farming communities in Africa so that they can identify and solve agricultural challenges. We started in 2017 with students at the University of Maryland, video conferencing with students in Liberia, identifying the challenges that farmers are facing in the Ganta region of Liberia, then developing solutions to those challenges. Eventually, our students, after all of this discussion for over 3 months, they decided to travel over. We conducted a fundraising event that we conducted several fundraising events that generated over $25,000. We traveled over to Liberia. And in Liberia, we conducted workshops in villages like Peng, Flompa, and Bedding. We conducted workshops on pest management, soil testing, value-added agriculture. One thing that I want to emphasize in this program is that this is done together. We are not saviors. We don't know all the solutions, but we do believe that bringing students together and having them discuss some of these challenges that we face today, they can produce most of the innovative solutions that we need. We also noticed that LICC, our partner institution, that has over 60% of its students as agricultural students, had only 5 agricultural textbooks in their library. So we conducted a book drive at the university that generated over 500 agricultural textbooks that we shipped over to them. On the final day in Liberia, we did this workshop on entrepreneurship, just teaching these farmers about value-added agriculture, how you can take your cassavas and make them to gari, why you need to package it, why you don't need to sell the same product as the next, as your neighbor. Again, once the students come together, that's when innovation happens. Students from diverse backgrounds sharing their cultural differences and sharing ideas. Once we send these books over to Liberia, we notice something. While a book may have been great and fits the context, some other books, just a chapter work. So we brought this problem back to our students, and one of them came up with this idea of a tiny book. A tiny book costs about $2 to make. And with that $2, we are able to make these books that are targeted to the communities that we are targeting. If we are making a book for a farmer, we make sure that our book fits the farmer. More pictures, less writing. If we are making it for a high school student, we try to make it with cartoons. Now, Roots Africa's model has been adopted and is a class at the University of Maryland called Global Classroom AREC 360. And students are able to go through the same process, video conferencing, identifying challenges, and traveling over to a country to implement. And our students here at UMB continuously are seeking for new ways to innovate and fundraise. And right now we are using design thinking to fundraise. In Liberia, we have a student club as well, the Roots Africa Student Club in Liberia. They have a high school program that reaches high schools, that seeks to engage high school students in agriculture by meeting them where they are. In the classroom, through classroom presentations. Out of the classroom, through a demonstration farm. At home, through mentoring and teaching them at home. As well, to put in an aspect of sustainability in their project, they have a compost project that they hope to sell this compost to their school administration and other farmers to fund their high school program. Overall, Roots Africa has, last week we actually launched our second student club at the University of Arkansas. We are starting a new program in Uganda where we are creating agricultural change agents as youth. And what we need right now is we need legal service, we need legal support to file our 501c3 status. We are also looking for partnerships, advice on marketing, to really elaborate on our go-to-market strategy. We are looking for financial support. With $5,000, we'll launch a program in Uganda, and that program would be able to reach at least 1,000 farmers. With $10,000, we will increase the number of schools that we can target in Liberia to about 6 different high schools. Thank you very much for sitting here and listening to my speech, and I'm open for questions. Thank you.
So I absolutely positively loved that. When I saw it, I was like, that was amazing. So I have so many questions. Are you working with the Liberian government at all?
No, right now we are not, but we are seeking that partnership.
Oh, okay, okay.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, okay. So right now we are not, but we are currently seeking that partnership.
Okay, and I asked because I would think that they would be extremely ecstatic about a program like this, and I would think our United Nations would be as well.
Okay.
And so there's a project office over there I'd love to connect you with.
Okay.
Because I think that they would be extremely excited about this particular effort. And while they don't do, at least I don't think so, Mildred, you could correct me. Mildred works for Eddie Casey. But you could correct me, I think RWJF, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, I'm not sure if they do international funding, but they do quite a bit of health funding.
Okay.
And they, I think, would be interested in this as a test pilot,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
There's so many ways you can go with this. I love the entrepreneurship piece,
Yeah.
where this could actually become not only an entrepreneurship driver for folks in Africa,
Thank you.
but also would be an entrepreneurship driver for folks here,
That's
right? As they begin to kind of, begin to create that pipeline. So many different ways to go with this. I absolutely love it. I love everything about it. I love the empowerment piece too. There's a strong equity piece as you are teaching folks to care for their land and giving them the information and the knowledge that they need so that they can do for self. There's nothing bad about this. I love it.
Thank you.
I absolutely love
Thank you very much.
it. Any way I can be helpful, please let's connect.
Absolutely, I'll do that.
Cedric, again, I have to agree with Dirk. This is very innovative. It's a very innovative solution. It's interesting that just over this past week, I'm sitting on the Nelson Mandela African Leaders Fellowship review, and reviewing 3,800 applications from young African leaders that are looking for these kinds of opportunities. And there was one that came through from a Department of Agriculture in Sub-Saharan Africa that is interested in something like this, but they couldn't kind of spell it out.
Yeah.
And you have found something that's very, I think, culturally appropriate.
Yeah.
And we know that entrepreneurship builds communities, and it builds strong communities. So there are some other resources like Dirk that I could try to put you in touch with through that fellowship program. And we do know of a law firm that does social entrepreneurship startup for a very, very low cost and sees you through to the next phase that we can connect you to.
Okay.
And that might give you some of the legal, that you need in order to get started. I do have a question, though. Explain to me a little bit more about how the funding works. So you get funding in because your clubs raise money, and how does the funding go out?
Okay, so our student clubs raise the funds. So far, we survived just as a student club. Now we are branching out of the student club to be an organization, say like an Engineering Without Borders or Global Brigade, that these funds will be channeled into the student club. We pay for the flights, we pay for the projects in country, and facilitate their process of developing projects and traveling into the country to implement. So that's the channel within which. Yeah.
So it is facilitated, and it's covering those costs.
Yes.
Are there micro grants or micro loans that are given to the local farmers as they come through the entrepreneurship program?
Our goal, especially in Uganda, and I'll talk about something else that we really put into consideration to make sure that the funds that come in are really targeted and are utilized for the purpose that they are meant. Most often people are scared to invest in Africa or to work in Africa because the money will go away. But the way we are working in Liberia, we're working with 3 different organizations. We are working with Young Farmer Champion, we are working with Wilmot Foundation, and we are starting this relationship with a microfinance organization. And our goal there is the money comes in through the microfinance organization. The Young Farmer Champion recruit the farmers that we would like to work with, and Wilmot Foundation looks at how do we facilitate this process. So eventually you are not putting your eggs in one basket first, and secondly, these organizations are able to put a check on each other, ensuring that the same organization is not managing the funds and implementing the program. So yes, we are in that process, and we would like to really establish more of those relationships.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Yes, I really want to echo the other panelists and just say this is a really phenomenal approach. We had the benefit also of reading your biography that Tom sent us in advance, and you have such a powerful personal story that gives you a great amount of credibility to move forward. And some of the things that I heard you talking about, we have literally hundreds of people who contact us every year wanting to start a nonprofit, and very few of them have the elements that you already have in place. A group of very excited volunteers and students who are willing to put the work in. So it's not just you and your idea. You already have a community that's bought in. You already have the knowledge and your background in agriculture and the partnerships both in the United States and Africa. And what's most often missing when we hear from nonprofits or people who want to start a nonprofit, and we ask them, well, how are you going to fund it? And I'm going to apply for a grant? But you are already thinking about social entrepreneurs, or you had mentioned that your whole group is thinking about innovative ways to fundraise, and you've already have a track record for fundraising. So those things are like, it sounds to me like you already have in your hands all of the things that are going to make you successful, and how can we, support you to go further. So one thing that I will say, and it's a commercial for the rest of you as well, if you're small. So once you already have your 501c3 status, we have a free program called the Nonprofit Development Center that's sponsored by the Maryland Department of Commerce that provides free training, technical assistance, and other resources. There are some brochures out on the grant.gov table and some up here that I can share you. It's a very easy online application for that. So any of you are less than $750,000 in revenue or less than 10 years old or both, that's an easy way to qualify for that program. We also have a flat fee. I'm going to compete with your law firm there, Kim. We have a flat fee program for nonprofit startup that's $1,200 plus the fees that the IRS charges. Today, special deal only, I'm going to offer you a free participation in our flat fee program. Because I'm so impressed.
Thank you.
You'll still have to pay the fees to the IRS,
Yeah.
but we'll provide our legal services for free because
Thank you.
you've inspired me so much
Thank you.
with the excellent way that you've approached it. When I think about potential funders for you, my mind immediately started going to government funding.
Yeah.
So, and government funding isn't just one thing. There are multiple government agencies that might be of interest to this. So I'm thinking of USAID, U.S. Agricultural Department, even Department of the National Institutes of Health may even be interested in something like that. And then there's also the World Bank has a foundation in D.C. and I think they would be all over this. And so I think that and you had mentioned Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. I'm thinking also the Mott Foundation, I believe, does a lot of international funding. So to go along with your crowdsourced, that organic funding you can get from your own community making donations, those are going to be unrestricted funds that you can just use and put to work right away. But pretty soon you're going to want to have a salary, and you're going to want to have a staff, and you're going to have capacity to really deliver on a full-scale grant. And I see those in your future. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And so just to piggyback off that, I think also there's some personal fellowships that you might want to look into, just to really get the word out about, your, like Heather said, your amazing story, right, and the work that you're doing. So I'm thinking, again, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation's Culture of Health Leaders Fellowship, which does come with a pretty significant stipend. The Obama Foundation Fellowship, which also comes with a pretty nice network of folks that you can begin to kind of network with. So we can talk about some of those as well. So.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I can attest to Heather's nonprofit development program because we were a beneficiary of that, and it helped us build capacity. So taking her up on her offer, not only for that, clearly she needs to be your new best friend.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're all going to be wanting to work for you pretty soon.
You want to sit here? Maybe you should sit here.
But also personally, because Heather also has extensive international experience, so you need to probably have, following on from from the last comment, that personal relationship as well. So there's a lot to learn there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very generous, Heather. I like it. Any questions or comments from the audience for Cedric? Yes, ma'am, at the front here. We have a mic on the way if you want to.
We have a mic on the way.
My name is Dale Wills, and I'm also in an international business, and I have a nonprofit organization, and we have an international segment as a part of this organization. I have traveled extensively overseas, and we also have an entrepreneurship portion of our nonprofit. So I'm very interested because I've been to a lot of those places that you have been to, Cameroon just this year, Uganda, and some places in the West, as well as North Africa and East. So I would love to connect with you, and maybe we can work together and do some partnership.
Absolutely. That would be great. That would be wonderful.
Yes, sir. Over there.
Hello, my name is Julius Ware. I'm a member of the Washington, D.C. Building Trades, which is all the construction unions in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. It's interesting that you presented this idea, and it's wonderful when all of the stars line up. Just 3 weeks ago, I was talking with a brother from Cameroon, an electrician, about we were having conversations about how building trade members are interested in getting involved in Africa in some form, even going to Africa and doing work. But we really didn't have a forum until now.
Okay.
So we'd love to connect with you. Not only can we provide labor, but members are always looking for ways to donate, not the money that a Robert Wood Johnson Foundation or a nonprofit can, but you're providing an opportunity for folks to say, here's my $50, $100 or whatever, and say, I was part of that.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, Kim?
Can I just offer one thing, following on from what was just said? That could be an opportunity for you to consider mission trips, where you pay for the cost of everything and charge it back to the participant, but put an overhead cost on it that becomes your fee.
Yeah.
And then you're engaging more people. So that could be a funding opportunity for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we have one more comment from the gentleman at the back.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Dr. Tembi Chiawa, and I'm a grant writer. I'm from Cameroon as well, and I'm so inspired about what you're doing. You're trying to solve a global problem, and I'm going to assist you with a grant writing piece. It's going to be free, so I'll volunteer and help you.
Oh, wow.
So we can connect after this.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So that's exactly what I was hoping would happen. I'm conscious we only have a couple minutes, so we'll just wrap things up unless there are any more comments from the panel here. I just want to make a quick thank you to University of Maryland's Do-Good Institute. They were able, round of applause, that's good. They very kindly put us in touch with Cara and Cedric at quite short notice after our original presenter had to pull out. So thanks to them, and also thanks especially to our panel and to Cedric and Kari. You guys did a great job, and like I said, they came at very short notice, so we're really appreciative that they could be here. So thank you guys.
We have just one more question.
Sure.
Thank you for the presentation. I noticed that you said there's a chapter at University of Maryland, also in Arkansas. I was wondering if there can be a chapter countywide in Prince George's County of Roots, taking advantage of the different agricultural opportunities. There's a great USDA facility in Beltsville, a lot of other areas in the county, just to combine resources and make it a countywide initiative.
Absolutely, I would welcome the opportunity to expand and look at other ways in which we can tap into the resources and connect resources here to African communities. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, unless we have anyone else. Okay. Thank you very much.